deep in my heart, I know for sure we have overcome. We have overcome. We have overcome today. Oh, me. I know for sure. Oh, yeah. We have overcome. When today. So I have a quick question. Did the words of that song make anybody feel uncomfortable? Please be honest. I want two people, one person who felt really in tune with the way that was said, and one person that really was made very uncomfortable about that. Real quick, 10 seconds piece. Anybody? Real quick. Yes, ma'am.
For me, I've heard that song my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, when we get to the end, when will we not be overcoming something?
Right.
And the people that I know that's in this room and in my family, we're a mighty, mighty people. We're not overcoming. We're actually leading.
Right. Anybody else? Anybody who's made uncomfortable by that?
I don't know that I would really call it uncomfortable, but I really have to stop and think, when did we overcome? What
So,
did we overcome?
as a people, we have to start speaking things that are not as though they are. If we say that's what, we're about, we really have to start doing that. And that goes all the way back to our traditions. Some things we may have to shift, not change, but just shift a word or two to make it affirmative in the spirit. And eventually, that reality will manifest. So I just wanted to see, that was more like a test for the crowd to see if anybody would be uncomfortable with the direction we're going. All right, here we go. So, our purpose at the top of the page, I'm just reading what's at the top of the page. Our purpose is unity. We must have faith in our self-determined creativity in order to thrive in collective work and responsibility, to establish a system of cooperative economics for our people to be free. So do y'all see that I just basically took the 7 principles and made an affirmation out of it? Yep. I will. Our purpose is unity. We must have faith in our self-determined creativity in order to thrive in collective work and responsibility, to establish a system of cooperative economics for our people to be free. Right now. Today. So, I think Karen did a wonderful job with the background of purpose, and so I can just go right into this. How do we discover what our purpose is? So a lot of people work jobs, some people have businesses, some people do a little bit of both, and some people take their artistry and somehow turn profit just by doing the law area. So, a lot of people think I'm real serious, but I'm so corny. So I came up with like a couple of acronyms on the side, just so we can really dig deep into what it means to live out our purpose or NIA. So the first one is notable, instinctive action. So we all do instinctive action, like burping is an instinctive action. After you eat, being attracted to someone that is physically beautiful is an instinctive action. Eating, drinking, sleeping, all right? So what is a notable instinctive action? Something that someone would write home about. Something that you do naturally that other people are amazed at or just compliment you on or that other people can't just do, All right, so these are noteworthy impulses that we perform in our daily lives, like singing, dancing, fashion, mechanical work, technical work. I have a friend who I can take my computer to. He's never been to school for computers, but I can just take him my computer and he'll give it back to me. Whatever was wrong, I have no idea. He will fix it. That's his instinctive action that he does, and I don't have that talent. So that's notable. All right? So questions on the side to figure out what your notable instinctive actions are. What are your natural talents? Anybody?
I love to talk.
You love to talk.
I love to talk.
We need that.
Connecting with people.
That is a really overlooked talent. Connecting with people. Anybody else? No? Okay. What type of compliments do you receive? I'll start. Like, I didn't know that I was a prolific dancer just by nature until someone else pointed it out. Like, we were at some camp and doing some little dance, and I thought I was looking geeky, but someone was like, oh my goodness, you're a really good dancer. I had no idea. I thought I was just doing what they, move left, move right, what they told us to do. So what type of compliments do you receive? That's another way to figure out what your purpose is. And what are you doing for free right now? Because it brings you joy to yourself or other people. So cooking, I made sweet potato pie, y'all. And the people who ate it, the literal smiles were on their faces. And so, forget that. I can sell my pies. I got people offering me $15 a pie. So, that's something that I could turn into a business. All right. And so once you identify whatever it is that you think you may be good at, how do you hone in on that gift or that talent? By nurturing intuitive appreciation. So there's a lot of things that could be considered acquired taste. Those aren't things that you are intuitively appreciative of. I am intuitively appreciative of music and chocolate. Those things no one ever had to go ahead, eat your vegetables. That was me all day. And there's a lot of things that we can all say that we were intuitively attracted to. So you have to nurture that. And we can discover this purpose by paying attention to the everyday things and ideals that we value, appreciate, or make time for. A lot of things, you'd be like, oh, no, I'm too busy for that. But you made time for something that has absolutely nothing to do with your job, nothing to do with your kids, but you're too busy because it didn't interest you. That's not intuitively something that you appreciate. All right? So, what are you appreciated for by others? What do people tell you all the time? I'm so happy that you wrote that song, or that you made me that dress, or that you drew up the blueprint to my house. There's a lot of things that people tell you, whether you know it or not, throughout the day, throughout the course of your week. You be good at that. So you have a job. What are those things? Take a note of that. What ideals do you appreciate without a doubt? For some people, this could be a cause like Black Lives Matter. For some people, it could be unity. The ideal of unity is something that I've always been drawn to. Even though people say, oh, that's so frivolous, like, what is unity? Unity is literally the only thing we can save us. Until we do that, nothing else can happen. So as frivolous as it may seem, if we don't have people that can send out a mass email or call some people on the phone and bring everybody into the same room, where else can we go after that? All right? So how do you express appreciation for the things you enjoy? So, for example, I enjoy music. So I express my appreciation in reposting my friends' music on SoundCloud. Or when my friends, I don't necessarily perform, but when my friends ask me to sing background for them, I will do that. That's how I express my appreciation, because I love them. right? So, true greatness and growth never occur in isolation or at others' expense. There is always mutual benefit. So,
I'll get that, sister.
yes, ma'am. This is on the paper too. True greatness and growth never occur in isolation or at others' expense. So there's a lot of things, a lot of intuitive appreciations and actions that you can find in the hood where people say, I'm good at that. So, I mean, I'm good at robbing people. Why can't I do that all day? And so I was thinking about it. If you break down, this is just an example. There's a lot of negatives that were used for positive in our homeland that in this foreign environment, we have to survive some way or how. And it manifests in things like people getting robbed. So a person who is skilled at taking the possessions of another person is a hunter. They have the ability to scope out a subject, learn their patterns, find their weak spots, and overpower them. That is a hunter at its best. So what are the negative things that a lot of people think, may be detrimental to a person that could be a purpose? That could be a purpose as well, not just the good things that we like to do. So I thought that was pretty interesting. You're welcome. So, generational responsibility. Each generation must discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. And all of these quotes are from the founder on the website. So, here's the fun part. This is where the conversation really begins. We're gonna go there, y'all, all right? So, don't judge. I just asked, don't judge people for their opinions. And if you go to the bottom of the page, I do have a couple questions for us. If we can all agree to this, this will be a very, very productive conversation. All right? So at the bottom, can we agree that everything happens for a reason? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on. It's a little bit stickier. Can we agree that racism exists primarily to preserve the white supremacy power structure? If you don't know what that is,
Yes.
just say the current society as a whole as we know it today.
Yeah.
Racism exists. All right, good. So, last question and we'll move on. Are we able to admit that nearly everything the society teaches us is either backwards, misleading, or just plain untrue?
Yes. Yes.
Good. All right. Is there a mic for the audience that they can have to pass around? Or maybe they can come up to you? Okay, pass it around. Pass the mic.
Right? Yes.
First, brutally honest question. Why do we fight so hard? I'm talking fight, picket, protest, get holes down, ate up by dog. Why do we fight so hard to sustain a system that was never designed for us to thrive in the first place? That is a really, really, really hard question. Because we have to respect the struggle. We cannot downplay what our ancestors went through. However, the question is still relevant. Why do we fight so hard to sustain a system that was never designed for us to begin with, as opposed to finding some other alternative?
You want to step right into this mic? Oh, I have a mic. I'll bring it to you. Okay. Well, I think that the reason why we fight so hard
to maintain the current system that exists today, because a lot of us don't have the vision to see that a different system could exist, and you only know what you know. So if you only know this corner of the room, and you've never even been to that corner of the room, how are you going to tell me how that corner of the room is going to work? You've literally only been over here. So you're trying to figure out how to make it right here. And then one day when you escape from that corner, then this life will happen. You know?
I believe it's what you're taught. Some of it's indoctrination, some of it's duplication, and the relinquishing of parents understanding they're their child's first teacher. That responsibility starts in the home, and the parents are the ones who can bring that forward. And if you didn't learn anything, how can you give anything?
First here, then you. See, I'm good at this.
Well, I'm gonna tell the honest truth. If everybody have a truth inside of themselves, because most people don't have truth inside of themselves, and that's the real problem. The first thing is that we as black people don't care anything about each other. I mean, we don't care anything about each other, let alone trying to unify and start something new. Once we start caring for each other, like we would like to be treated, then we might be able to start doing a lot of other things. Until then, we're not going to do anything.
So my belief is that the answer to your question is actually the third point that you made, that most of what we have been taught and what we learned and we understand about the society is untrue, misleading, backwards, whatever. And I think, in my opinion anyway, that really is the reason why we continue to fight to maintain a system of white supremacy. And I would say, I would go further and say that the system of white supremacy is not just a national system, it's actually a global system. And if you look at any country, any geographical area in the known world, any country where there are people of color, whether they're African people or so-called Asian people or Native American people right here in the U.S., wherever it is, there is a system of white supremacy, and I believe most of it has to do with mind. I mean, I think we have to be honest about that. We have to be honest about the fact that we're all victims, that we've all, to a certain extent, been brainwashed, and until, in my opinion, we begin to understand that, it will be very difficult to overcome this system.
Some more.
So does anybody want to start talking about the India? Is it everything I'm saying is on the sheet?
I don't have a sheet.
Thank you.
I agree with what everybody said. Well, one major reason is education, and it's because we're educated by our oppressor. So an oppressor is not going to teach you how to be free. Right? So we need to teach our own children. We need rites of passage programs, because all the oppressor is teaching is for you to maintain the status quo. The other thing is, and the big thing is fear. Black folks say they're ready, but we're afraid. And then another thing is, a lot of times we get bought out. We get bought out. That money. We be hard at first, and then they start throwing that money at us. Start changing our tune. So we have to be true to ourselves, like you were saying, sister. And we have to get hold of our children and teach them the right way. We need rites of passages program in our own schools.
Elder.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. I've been to a lot of meetings in my lifetime. I'm 85, I'm on 86 now. This meeting reminds me of many that I've been in, but I also believe that this is a very important meeting. Everybody get it? Yes, sir. First of all, I would like to say, our women, we need to be able to honor them because they are our people. But we men, we need to start doing the things that men are supposed to do. And I start off by saying this. Men, we rank among the strongest men in the world. Yet, we are dependent. And mostly on the other folk, too. But this, I want all of us to know. When we men follow, but we follow blindly behind other folk. Men, that's worse than trying to find the end of the rainbow. And since we know the end is not there, we men know now where to begin. Where to begin? We begin with we men. Because justice for us in America are seldom there. It's like rainbows. And many, many times for us here in America, justice is not even there anywhere. Y'all getting the point?
Yes, sir.
We need to come together and do what real men are supposed to do. That's to create jobs, goods, and services in our community. Join in with our committees and our boards and by our own authority too, and find out if they are not working for the good of our community, then we can and we will correct that too. With that determination, this is what we need in our community. We have a man in our community here tonight. The man works diligently, trying to get us to come together to read what our problem is all about. His name is Mr. Benny Holmes. He sends out a letter that I get and many others get because he's interested in our community. We need to connect with things like that so we can make contact with each other. Know who's in business and who's doing this and who's doing that so we can communicate. I hope I said enough here. And this man is Mr. Benny Holmes.
To answer the question, I believe that we fight so hard to sustain a social system that is not designed for us because innately, we African people are a territorial people. It is our nature to fight for our blood, our people, and our land. And because we are in an area that is not necessarily innate to us, we have been misguided to fight for the things that this particular land and our people and blood stand for. This is who we naturally are when we're in our place. So doing the same thing in the wrong place.
To that, what is our end game? Now that we've identified how to find a purpose, what it means to have a purpose and walk in it, what do we want to do? Individually, collectively.
This is a question I've asked myself a number of times, especially this year, 2015, which, it's just a number, so every day I'm asking this question. And one of the questions that I came up with this year is, and I hope this doesn't offend anybody, but where are the rich Pan-Africanists? So those brothers and sisters, conscious individuals who have been telling us that this is the name of the game, this is how we build wealth, where are the rich ones? And,
I'm not saying that, my research was comprehensive by any means, but I didn't find enough examples to really make me feel like, okay, somebody's got something. I think the thing that a lot of people who are trying to do, I don't want to say conscious, but everybody I think kind of has an understanding of what that might be. So one of the things that conscious people get into a lot of times is once we come into a certain knowledge, then we want to save everybody else that doesn't have this knowledge. And so instead of pursuing the education, the resources, the information, the things that can make us better, we start trying to tell other people that this is what you should be doing. And until you are that example, it's really hard for other people to follow you. So for me, the answer is living the principles of Kwanzaa, living the principles, basically being the person I pretend to be, being the person that I want to be, being the person that I claim to be on a daily basis, and do that no matter what, whether I've got followers, I'm alone, whether my family that I was born into is with me or not, just being that person. And then, that I do I'm not a fan of a lot of Western practices of business models. I think that gets African people into trouble a lot also. But there are systems that have been proven to work. And if we follow those systems of wealth creation, we can have that, but we have to have it as an individual before we can say anybody else or tell anybody else what they need to be doing.
So I think that I would say that my answer is intention and immunity, as this brother used to speak, and I'll go into that.
Excuse me, to back up what the sister just said, I think all that's very true. You do have to, as this whole meeting has been about, living the principles of Kwanzaa. But I think one of the main ways to do that is to establish what you deem as Black success. Because Black success may or may not look like white success.
Right.
So if I say there has to be a rich Pan-Africanist, and I'm not to disagree with that, I think that you should get money. I'm not against get money. But maybe that's not what it is to be a successful Black person. One of the things that I think it's dawned on me this year too, if my name is Coleridge, that's my first name, Coleridge. That is as English of a name as ever there has been, Coleridge. But people say, oh, I like your name. It took me a while to get used to. I like your name. If I was in a class with a decorous, I would say, that's ghetto, right? That means that I don't have the power to name myself. If my ideas are automatically deemed evil, if my religious practices are automatically deemed the devil, if my work ethic is automatically deemed slavery, if my community is automatically deemed the ghetto, that's not the case for any other people, if you get what I'm saying. They had to deem what Chinese success was to be proud to live in Chinatown. They had to deem what Russian success was to be proud to live amongst Russians. So I think we have to find out this is what it means, even if that just means, hey, we're going to shop at these 5 stores this year, because that's all we got. We're going to be proud of those 5 stores. We're going to shop at those 5 stores that are as big as Walmart. We're going to shop, buy our own shoes and our own clothing from each other until it's as big as Louis Vuitton, because that's just a man who sold his clothes to his people. I see what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's what the mic stands up for.
Thank you all. Been this early.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And thank you.
I want to pick it. I didn't not say anything after the got in. Kind of what he said. I have a problem with it. So bear with me a moment. And when we start talking about mindset, we have to change our mindset. We've been trained so long to work physically. We almost got it. And we've got to is also, the words we use, the phrases we use, the things we use, we don't demonize ourselves. So when we start calling each other the N-word, we say we're just, what do they call it now? Terminant dirt. That just kind of bothers me. My children don't use this word, and it bothers me to even hear anybody use it. If you don't want anybody calling you that, then don't call your friends that.
Yes.
It's just not something I think we ought to do. If we were to look at each other as individuals that we love and treat each other like that, then others can look at that love. We got to learn from each other. And the brother who said that we don't care anything about each other, I have to disagree with that.
Yeah.
I think that we have, in some sense, been trained, mind trained, to work physically so long that we've forgotten how to do mental work, because we were traded off so long, we were just treated as property. And we got trained like that. Guys were used as breeders. They breed, they got babies, and they send them on to some other plantation. So that mentality, sometimes it seems we still have that. Brothers, we don't need that mentality. We've progressed, and we don't need to look at each other like that. So we need to learn to mentally change and love one another.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. Sister Shirley, Sister Yvette, Sister Arden. I think we met a few months ago over at Southside, some training session or something like that. And this congregation, I have a brother in my community over in the Inslee area. He's from Africa, and there's a language barrier. I've been trying to get in place. I've been trying to find him some African persons that he can communicate with, so he can kind of readjust and integrate into the community. As a father, as a husband, as a community person, also as an ex-offender, it always has inspired me. Something that one of our elders, our leaders said, Malcolm X, he said, "It's no disgrace to have been a criminal. The only disgrace is to remain one." And in my circle of influence, I try to touch bases with people in my job, in my community, on the bus, in the laundromat, in the barbershop. And with that in mind, we just want to kind of inform and enlighten you briefly. This past year alone, working and reaching across with other persons in other situations, I had shared how in Florida we use the playing cards to open up cold cases. And a few months ago, the Birmingham Police Department took upon that idea. We have too many unsolved situations in our community that our community know about. We have the issue to name that person. And let's give other family members in our community closure. Anyone that has anything that needs to be resolved and closed, give them permission to use that situation. Because we have answers in our community within ourselves, and some of us